Welcome back to RotoMoto. My name is Donnie. This video is brought to you by O'Neal, and in this one we'll go over how much purse money was paid to each rider in the lucrative New World Supercross series and compare those figures to what we typically see in the AMA series. First, I have to give credit where credit is due, as Michael Lindsay's team over at Vital MX was the first to reveal this information on a public forum. Go check out their thread if you want to see each and every number in full. I will leave a link in that in the description below. But before we get to the numbers, here are a few things to consider when viewing these numbers. The first is that the purse money on its own does not paint the whole picture, as many riders have a deal directly with the teams to race in this series. In fact, the purse money isn't paid to the riders directly, but instead paid directly to the teams, who are then responsible to compensate their riders accordingly. So in addition to any flat rate base pay he may have with the Moto Concepts Honda team, third place 450 finisher Vince Friese may not get to keep the entire $20,000 he earned for his third place overall this weekend if they have a different deal set up over there. And second, in addition to any team deals, certain riders were compensated by the series itself, most notably Eli Tomac as a wild card and Ken Roczen, who was announced by the series themselves months ago, long before any team deal was struck. It is rumored that both of those deals were worth upwards of $200,000. The advertised purse for each round of the series was $250,000 total, and that seems to be what they paid out, with $180,000 going to the Premier 450 class and $70,000 to the Junior SX2 class. Race winner Eli Tomac took home $40,000 of the purse money, or just over 20% of the pot. Ken Roczen took $30,000 for his runner-up finish, and as mentioned before, Vince Friese earned $20,000, which means the podium riders took home half of the purse. Justin Brayton and Josh Hill were awarded $15,000 and $10,000 respectively, with the rest of the top 10 bringing home between $9,000 and $4,000. Chad Reed and Josh Grant, who were injured in the qualifying heats and were unable to line up, were still paid their purse cut, worth just about $1,500 each for the veterans. In the SX2 class, overall winner Shane McElrath took the checkers and $16,000 for his victory, and his podium mates Chris Blopes and Mitchell Oldenburg brought in $12,000 and $8,000 respectively. Finishing inside the top 15 netted you at least $1,000, but the pay in the little class bottoms out quickly, with the final finisher earning only $550. So let's compare that to the AMA series stateside, going off figures from 2021. Notably, these could be much lower than the numbers we will see next season with the introduction of the Super Motocross Championship and the advertised $10 million purse. The overall victor at a single race in the States would bring home just $12,000 in the 450 class, which is comparable to a second place finish in World Supercross in the little class. In fact, the top 7 in the 450 class make about 3 times as much or more racing the WSX as they would the AMA series, and that gets skewed a little more as there are less top-tier factory guys in the field in Cardiff. Remember, Vince Friese finished on the podium in this event when his single best 450 finish in his career came in the absolutely wild Detroit round this year, where he got 6th. Using Vince as an example again, his last full 17-round season was in 2020, where he finished 14th in the championship with an average finish of 14th. His purse payout was just $40,060 that year, and he earned almost half of that in just one event. Interestingly enough, finishing 19th or worst in the World Supercross actually earns less money than the AMA series, with the 22nd finisher taking home 27% less than they would have if they would have been racing in the States. But without knowing how much these riders are getting paid directly for their team just for showing up, it's impossible to tell if this is really the lucrative payoff many were envisioning when this season was announced. Privateers like Cade Clayson and Grant Harlan, who finished 16th and 18th respectively, earned just a few $100s each more than they would have for the same finish in the States. Hopefully they are receiving some additional cash from their Club MX squad to further make traveling the world worth their while. I was very critical of this series leading up to the first event, and most of my gripes of it being overhyped and prepared to underdeliver still stand in my eyes, but I did enjoy the short race format and how quick the turnaround times were between races, even between the qualifying heats and Super Bowl. Now that the dust has settled around the opening round of the World Supercross Championship, what are your thoughts about the series as a whole, and are you more or less optimistic about a legitimate contender to the American series? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like the video on your way out and subscribe for more breaking news and analysis like this. Thanks as always for watching RotoMoto. My name is Donnie. Keep it pinned to the weekend.